Hello my friends, and welcome to my base building guide for Rimworld. My name is Icon, and this little guide will show you how to build working and safe bases which will carry you through difficulty levels up to losing is fun. So first off, never mind the starting area here. I tweaked the starting resources a tiny little bit, so we're going to have a few units of limestone blocks, a few units of steel, and a tiny little bit of wood, and there's some food available in the vicinity, just to make sure that nothing bad will happen. We're going to build a example base with this randomly rolled squad of super builders. Nah, jokes aside, let's prepare carefully, and I want to focus this video all about the base building and the concepts, and that's why we're starting like this. And if you like this type of content, drop a subscription on my channel. Look up the videos there, you'll find plenty of other Rimworld videos and similar content there. But let's get started. So first off, always decide where you want to actually live. I personally love to use structures that are already available in the vicinity of my base to be to, well, use them as a cheap fundament for my base. Also try to make use of natural resources like steel and stuff like that in your vicinity. You can also use ruins, especially those steelies drop a lot of blocks you can use for your colonies as well. So wherever you might decide to put up your base, and that's really more or less your own decision, because there's no perfect place on any map. There's only a lot of good places depending on your playstyle. So we're going to start out with something every colony always will need. I for myself will pick up this place here because I like the structures which I can nail walls onto for the future. So we're going to roughly build the base around this quadrant. I see some different places as well, but for this example I want to use this. And first off, I start with the question where to build my central warehouse, because there's always one central warehouse for my colonies, which is accessible from several sites, which will have everything which we don't know where it's going to live. And for this example, I'm going to drop it down here. I love to use stone for the warehouse because I don't like to have that flammable at any cost. So we're going to do that thing here first. So this is going to be the warehouse where I put up a stockpile zone where I put up pretty much everything, and the things I need for my everyday use are living there. So the next thing every colony needs are, of course, living quarters. To begin with, I always use the area which I design around, which I design as a kitchen and a freezer area to have a barracks there, to have my people there. But in this scenario, we can put up the living areas before anything else. So one vital thing about living areas, don't put them into mountains, because infestation events always spawn in mountainous areas, and you don't want to have an infestation event in your sleeping quarters. Also, don't place your sleeping quarters, well, try to put them as centralized as possible into your base, because this is where your people will always start from, and start their day and end their day. So for this particular thing, I'm going to make it like that. This block is going to be my unit for living quarters for the time being. You can design those as large or small as you'd like to. There are a lot of different ways to design that. I don't want to talk about how to build the building clusters themselves, much more about design and what's important about that. So right now I'm having the sleeping quarters on this side here. I could have put them on this side as well. So sleeping quarters and central storage areas are quite important. I chose this place here because I'm able to expand that as well, either in the southern dimensions, or I could go into this direction or this direction. Keep in mind that your colony will grow, and plan your units in the colony accordingly. So for this area here, I feel like this looks like a wonderful place to have my kitchen and my freezer at. So for kitchen areas, I really like to do something like that. We're going to put it like this, and this is going to be the freezer. So I have to, of course, put these guys on mining as well. So with these super soldiers, we're going to have that accomplished in no time. Alright, so let's make something like that. And this. Alright. So them guys are patching up the sleeping areas already. So this will be the kitchen in general. So I'm putting up one person over here. So we're going to have our stove somewhere like here, and the freezer unit as such will be here. I always have a freezer in my colonies. Why? Because it's pretty useful to have a place where you have your stuff you need frozen and available. So this is a pretty easy and decent way to do this. And the kitchen here itself is quite big, because I always like to use the kitchen room also as a recreation room in the early game, or for other purposes in between. And if your kitchen is too big for your taste, you can either make it smaller or put some other production facilities in there. It's quite pretty much up to you how to combine the units, but I personally feel like every colony should have a kitchen. That's something I definitely think can be said, can be quoted like that. So let's put this up. As we see here, everything is coming along nicely. So the super soldiers go to sleep. Let's give them a nice horseshoe pin to make sure they're not going to be unhappy. Alright, so next up is the setup for the freezer. I'm doing it like that because this way I can expand the freezer into this dimension or that dimension if my need for food becomes larger across the way that I grow. The kitchen could have been also cut like that if you want to have a smaller kitchen. And what's really important to point out, it's always wise to put your butchering table inside of the freezer, because this way you're having the dirt not in the kitchen. So it's just a easy way to do that, and your people usually bring the corpses inside the freezer anyways. So it's some method that really worked out super fine for me in the past. Alright, so my friends here are getting things done as well. And these are the first units I rush for every colony. This whole guide is made in a pretty chronological order, well, as much as I can. So now we have a sleeping area and a food production area. And here the storage is expandable, the sleeping area is expandable. I really like to have designs that stay expandable at any point. So next thing I want to do is put up a structure area for some kind of workshop. So in this situation I'm going to do the workshop like here. The workshop for me is the area where I do my stone cutting, like this, and the other things like smeltering or also other production chains. I really like to do my art in this workshop as well, so that's that. To maximize your efficiency with these things, I really love to have dumping stockpile zones which take all the chunks in front of that place and do another stockpile zone in the vicinity of your stone cutting table for stone blocks exclusively, to make sure that your working ways are always short, because that's really powerful. Also keep in mind that you can put up stockpile zones for steel out in the open, because there are some materials like steel which have no deterioration at all, so they're going to be last forever even if stored outside. So now your colony would have a kitchen, a freezer where your food is staying cold, just make sure that you're doing your temperature thing, and that's your pretty much your rough basics. That's a base which can sustain itself for pretty much an indefinite amount of time. You only need to add up some agriculture in form of growing zones to grow yourself some food, and or do that by hunting. That's up to you, but you have plenty of room to do this while staying like that. So let's expand our base and add up some new things, some new ideas. Something I really love to do is to work with my fabrics like the following. Most of my colonies have sooner or later specialized workshops where I start to reduce the strain of the main storage and put it into other directions of the colony, because here we would be putting up a stockpile zone for that and a stockpile zone for that area. So what I'm going to do here is this stockpile zone is going to store all the textiles, whereas this stockpile zone is going to store all the apparel. So make sure to put up the priorities on preferred at least. And now on the apparel part, forbid the tainted ones, and voila, you're having an area where you can just put down an electric tailoring bench, and all the fabrics you need will be stored in this room, and all the completed products will be stored in this room, and there's less strain in your central storage area, which will be having less fabrics inside there. And this is a pretty powerful way to accommodate that. And a few ideas for power. You can grow power out of, or draw power out of different sources. Wind turbines, and oh, I forgot something. So we're going to go into the dev mode, and if you didn't know that, there's a finish all research button here inside the dev mode. But for the sakes of a tutorial, I want to have all the technologies available. So geothermal generators are the non plus ultra, but what a lot of people like to do is put up a wind turbine and put up one put them parallel to each other, and then fill the in-between space with solar panels, more or less. So something like that. And this construction only will need a little bit of flooring like here to make sure that nothing will grow there. And this is a extremely powerful source of energy for every base that's only needing some batteries to give you a massively sustainable amount of power without researching the costly geothermal power technology first. All you need is solar paneling and power and batteries when you're doing a crash landed start. That's all you need to have a massive energy farm. And this is some way of power production I really like. But if you're living in a temperate forest biome, you can also easily do wood generators. You should upgrade those later to camp fuel power generators. The only thing I don't like about them is they're doing a lot of micromanagement work for your colonists, and you have to produce that stuff all the time. Alright, so let's get back to the colony. As you see here, this is a easy module for power production that brings you a insane amount of power. But however you want to do your power, you should put it somewhere where you can defend it. I personally would assume the safest way is to put a wall around it, but if you have already a fortification around it, it should be okay. I'm just mentioning this because raiders really love to destroy your power sources, and such things are quite important to be protected. So now your fledgling colony would have a workshop for your everyday needs. You can also put down the machining elements and the fabrication elements, and whatever you want to. I really like this kind of centralized design because you have enough room to do anything you want to. So the next thing I really like to have is also some room where you can do your beer, but well, it follows the same rules like this. And the most important parts about base design in general are keep your base centered around the sleeping area and your production areas. So you want to have short ways wherever you can. So that's why it's important to grow like this. In this particular scenario, I personally would grow my warehouse more into this direction as longer the colony goes. Like something, I would prefer something like that. And I would actually start growing the new living areas around this. Like, to make sure that the new homes of my people are living around where we're working. So I'm getting invaded by my little son, so don't worry if you're hearing some children's noises. That's not your imagination, that's only a toddler. Don't know where his mom's right now, but
Papa.
hello. Hello. So so please forgive the interruption, but that's what happens in these times when you're working from home. You have to live with these. All right, where were we? I was talking about the living areas. As you can see here, these will snake around the other production facilities and make sure that your people will be having short ways wherever they work. You can go for these things quite easily. The only thing that I really need to talk about now is if you're running Rimworld Royalty, you should reserve some throne room. And for the throne room is the same rule as with everywhere. Keep it connected to the rest of your colony, because your people will have to attend to the speeches of your regents, and thus you'll be having some attention time in there. So we're going to put down a meditation throne in here, so placeholder. So here we go. And now the last thing that I personally always love to do into colonies is a recreation room. You can integrate that into somewhere else, but it's always nice to have a room where parties are being held at and such. And in this scenario, I would put the recreation room here out of a simple reason that I would be able to mine this whole room out, because there's plenty of useful things in here. So we would be able to expand that little recreation room further and further. So the last things that are left for this fledgling colony are the following. We need a laboratory area, and well, I said it several times before, but I'm going to say it again. Keep it close to your colony, keep it connected, that your people have short ways. So something like that would be my thing of choice. We're going to slap in a few high-tech research benches, at least the ghosts of those, and a little multi-analyzer in between. So here you would have all the research you need. So let's fast forward that a little bit. I just noticed that I forgot to give me the materials to build those high-tech things, but that's not really an issue here. So the kitchen area also is very good to have some sort of table in there. But, well, I think those things go without saying. So let's order up the mining here. There we go. So I'm pretty sure that this won't be working out without a column. So if you're creating large rooms like these, make sure that you're giving these some columns out of the simple reason that you are going to have no completed roof when the rooms are getting too large. All right, so we have now a sleeping area. Well, with a expand here. I should give those poor guys finally some beds. What do you think? And There we go. So let's do it like that. And so I'm going to personal core offer. All right, no need for that. So let's fast forward this for a moment and talk about the last thing that I forgot, and that's the fortifications of this place. So when you want to fortify a base, there are a few things that are only a few things that are vital to know. First off, it doesn't matter how you build your fortress. The only real important thing is leave some place open for your enemies to attack to. Because if you close your base and if you construct a solid tin of defense, all that's going to happen is your enemies are going to launch either only drop pods at you and furthermore, or send sappers all day long, or send sieges every time. The game gets your basic idea of defense and tries to beat you. And this way, if we design it like that, for example here, I would have only one exit. But I personally prefer concepts like these, where I open up my base into two directions, basically. But the ideal way would be to have some sort of shield here. Let's say something like that. To make sure that your enemies can't pour into your base unhindered. So that's that. I'm not going to build proper kill boxes here because kill boxing is well, I'm going to talk about it for a sec, what kill boxing is in general. So kill boxing means producing an ideal form of defense where your enemies are almost having no chance of survival in. And it's all about reducing the enemy's chances of survival as much as you can and increasing the chances of killing and surviving of your own people as much as you can. So, but these areas here would be viable to do kill boxes. If you want to do more geometric approaches, you can also do something like that, no problem. The only thing that's really important is leave exits and entries to your base. That's super important. All right, so I'm going to sum up the things now at the end of this video to grab it shortly. Have some form of storage area which is centralized for your base. Never start without it, because you want to have some place where all the odd things end up. You need some place where your people will sleep at, preferably some place which is centralized around the other buildings of your base. You want to have some room for your food production, and you want to have that connected with a room where you're having coolers connected, which are able to pull the temperature below the 0 point. That's really important. And always design it like this, like in a way that you can expand the coolers connected to the room. So in this scenario, I would do something like here. I would expand the freezer in the way that I would mine out this area here, and then I could add up coolers from this side. The amount of coolers you need depends on your biome and on the weather and whether there's a heat wave or not. All right, but back to topic. So after kitchen and connected freezer, there's the workshop area, which is the area which I basically consider where your stone cutting and smeltering and your basic crafting duties are getting done. You can also connect your tailoring to that before you have a specialized workshop, which is the next point. Build specialized workshops. They're really good. They're really good because you can reduce the strain of your central storage area by a lot. And have a throne room, which should be also connected, ideally close to the person using it. And have a research area, which is preferably tiled at some point with sterile tiles. And after that, there are two more things that are really useful to have. And that's a room to store your explosives in. Like, never store your shells and anti-grain warheads and chem fuel where you store everything else. Most of the time I have a designated area only for chem fuel alone, and for shells ideally next to the mortars to make sure that your ways are short. And the last but not least thing to produce for the later stages of the game would be little hospital areas. And hospital areas consist out of the following. You have some beds in there for people, of course, because that's the most important thing. Ideally, if you want to have, and if you can't afford it, put some TV in there. Have some sterile tiles in there. Maybe you put up in some stockpile zone for medicine too. And if you can also connect that to vital monitors and all the technologies you have available. And this way, no, not done yet, and put them close to your areas where you think that you're going to fight a lot, because you want to have, again, short ways to drag your ill people to. And that pretty much sums it up. If you follow these advices, you're going to end up with a more or less working colony. It might be not your favorite colony because it's full of my ideas, but I'm pretty sure that you're going to be very well able to wrap your own ideas around these concepts and modify them. And I hope that you guys enjoyed your time. Thanks for watching, and come again for some other tutorials or some other fun on my channel. I would be super happy. Drop some comments down below if you want to add up something or talk about something, or you have some questions about the topic in general. I'm there for you. I love to hear from you guys. And of course, have a wonderful day and goodbye.